Hey guys, I'm Willbender, and today I'll be talking about the basics of the new civilization T11 troops. I didn't want to make this video too hastily. I wanted to make sure I had some good data, some good battle reports that I had made for myself, and that way I could bring you the most complete information as I have it so far. So we know that there are 4 different types of troops that have made their way into the game, with each civilization having their own specific type of troop. A lot of people have been wondering what the best usages of these were for and if they're even worth making to begin with. So let's first go over some of the beginning ideas of what each troop entails, and then I'll go over whether they should be more for an offensive attack or they should be more in your castle for defense. So let's just go ahead and start at the bottom here, and we'll go ahead and look at the infantry first. So here we have the T11 infantry, and we can kind of look at the talents and get a decent idea of what these types of troops will bring to the table. So we have advanced pike, greatly increase the damage dealt against cavalry, as well as the accuracy. We have sharpness, greatly increase attack, slightly increases piercing damage. Critical hit has a chance to deal triple damage. And Dragon in the Wild, there's a chance to deal tons of damage to the surrounding melee troops. This one's probably the most tricky and the one that's not really cut and dry. And I'll say that also because this is the only troop I don't own. I have the T11 siege engine, cavalry, and the archers. This is the only one that I do not own. I didn't get it during the carnival event where you didn't lose anything. But if we look around, we know that our T9s are our our T10s are our defensive units. So the only thing we can really compare it to are the T9s over here. And it does have pretty much the exact same types of talents, except the stats are a little bit better. The 84 attack on the T9s and the 95 attack on the T11s. So, the question is this a defensive troop or is it an offensive troop? My answer is that this is a very good defensive troop. You can have this on your defense and it does a lot of added damage to an attacker who's foolish enough to want to attack you. Now, why is it an offensive unit? Well, because mostly all of your attack stats are being focused on your archers. So when you look at people's attack strength, you kind of look at the archer damage, as well as the offensive damage as well. But if we're looking at individual troop percentages, you're focusing on your archer attack, first and foremost. The infantry may have a good secondary amount of stats, but the archers are doing the bulk of the work. So you don't really need an added troop on the offense. Instead, you want to hold these guys back and have them be basically just holding up their spears whenever the defense happens and have them ready to assault. So I believe that the Vogelmen here are a defensive troop. Now, we'll go ahead and go on over to here, and we'll look at our T11 cavalry. Again, we'll do the same thing as we did before. We'll look at these talents. The advanced charge says have a chance to attack enemy ranged troops, dodge, have a chance to miss damage, critical hit, have a chance to deal triple damage, and random shot. When using critical hit, up to 5 rear targets may be attacked at once. So if we compare these to our T10 cavalry, it's almost the same talents, except over here we have Deadly March, which increases the marching speed. Whereas over here we have, I believe, I want to make sure I say this right. Yes, the crit is the increased one on here. Have a chance to deal triple damage. So if we also look at the attack strength, the T10s have 90, and the Slaughter Cavalry have 101, which is obviously greater. So is this a defensive troop or is it an offensive troop? These are a good offensive troop. You can easily switch out your 15 to 20k T10 cavalry and switch in these guys. The only thing you have to watch out for, with any of these actually, is that you will have to use fine iron if they get wounded. So make sure you have a strong a defensive wall of T10 infantry to take the damage so that your T11 cavalry don't have to be wounded and you don't have to use that fine iron. But I would easily switch these out and put in T11 cavalry for T10 any day. So now we'll go on over here to our next one, and that is our T11 catapults. And again, we'll look at the talents. The talents read greatly increase attack, but halves attack speed. That's the power attack. Piercing shot greatly increases the damage dealt towards infantry. Advanced offensive attack increases the offensive attack, slightly increases the defensive attack. And boulder deal massive damage to 3 enemies at each attack. So we compare that to our T10 trebuchets over here. They basically have the exact same talents, except the offensive talent. It says get attack bonus during siege, and this one here is advanced offensive attack, which increases your offensive attack as well as slightly increases your defensive attack. So with that in there is, I guess we should also look, the attack power in this is 164, attack power in this 188, big difference. So is this a defensive unit or is this an offensive unit? In my opinion, this is a great offensive unit. Again, you could switch out your 15 to 20k T10 siege engines and filter in the T11s, the same amount, and it will do more work for you. It does increase the defensive attack, so if you are being attacked upon, this would be a great unit to have in the back as well, but there's just a lot of great things you can have for this being in your offensive line, so definitely put that in there, and you'll probably see a better difference than your T10s. Now, the last one we have is our T11 archers. So if we look at the talents again, we have Raging, greatly increases the crossbowman's attack and reduces received damage. Diffuse Shot, every shot will attack a random unit. Advanced Defense, greatly increases defensive attack. And Arrow Rain, before the battle, fire diffuse shot 10 times. So if we look at the differences here, they kind of line up with our T9s over here, which we already know are good defensive units, except the stats are better. So, is this a defensive unit or an offensive unit? Very clearly, this is a great defensive unit. They have a lot of defensive things going for them. If the advanced defense talent here didn't give it away already, they are just really good. Now, I could talk like this all day long and throw stats at you, but I'd rather show you some screenshots. So the first round I'm going to show you is when I entered into the ancient battlefield. A stronger P6 tried to zero me many times, and I kept healing on him, and he could never get a successful attack in edgewise. So let me go ahead and show you his stats just so you know that he was indeed stronger. We can see here that his archer attack was 615%, which is more than 100 higher than mine. His defensive units were solid. His offensive attack was 43. He had everything going correctly. He just did not have enough to pierce my 4 million plus troops. So if we look at this next screenshot here, we can kind of see how everything sort of shook up here. We can see that my T11 archers did 46k of the kills. Now I don't have a complete row here of all my units, but I can tell you the only thing that beat it was my 1 million T10 archers, and rightfully so. They absolutely should be better. But these units were my second best defensive units. Nothing else really came close to the 46k kills that these guys did. And mind you, 46k kills doesn't seem like a lot, but I've only trained about 80k of these. Actually, I think it was about 90k. Yeah, I had about 90k going into this. So out of the 90,000 of these guys that I had, they did 46k of the damage. Whereas my 1 million T10 archers did about, I want to say about 200,000? Which in a ratio speaking, these guys were really performing well as your defensive units. Unfortunately, I don't have infantry to show you how well that they did. Maybe I can ask my boy Jake or someone else to give me some screenshots of that. But the T11 crossbowmen, very good on defense. I do have to give a disclaimer though, whether it's a bug or not, the ancient battlefield does consume fine iron when you are healing them up. I used a vast majority of my resources healing them up, and I didn't even realize it until the end. I am actually talking to a developer about that right now to make sure if that's a design thing or if that's a bug. But as of right now, until I put something in the description down below that says otherwise, the ancient battlefield does consume fine iron, so beware of that. So the next thing I will show you guys is the offensive capabilities of the T11 siege engines and the T11 cavalry. And a great way to do this is by going into your hero palace and doing the hero trials, or going into the dragon palace and doing the dragon trials. I would suggest more so doing the hero trials, because in the dragon trials you can't really reset your troops as easily, whereas in the hero trials you constantly send a new wave of things, so you're not going to be using fine iron on these. But on this one right here, this was a boss battle, And we can see that my T11 siege engines did 21,000 of the kills, and my T11 cavalry did 30,000 of the kills. Now we can see all the way down below that my archers did the bulk of the damage. That's always going to be the case. But compared to my T10 infantry, which are my meat shields, they can even come close to those attacks. So the supplementary attacks of these two units is superb. They are a great asset as long as you are protecting yourself and you're not wasting all of your fine iron. So I would definitely sprinkle these guys in any day. 15 to 20k of these in your normal marches is a perfect amount. But like I said, make sure you have a plethora of T10 soldiers, infantry, to guard all of your other units so that your use of fine iron is minimal. And if you don't have that much fine iron, you don't have as much confidence in your infantry, hold them back until a very special attack. Maybe you want to reinforce someone with those T11 crossbowmen to really stick it to an enemy. But that's my basic analysis on these 4 troops. Again, I do apologize for not having the infantry ready and available, but hopefully I can get some of those stats to you pretty soon. But if you guys like this, then I'm happy. And if you guys have any video suggestions, leave it in the comment down below. As you've seen in many of my videos, I'm very keen on answering comments, and I'm very good at making videos for users who really want to see things, because you guys are the heart and soul of this channel. You guys know what you want to see, and I'm happy to produce it. So thanks a lot for joining us, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and until next time, I will see you on the battlefield.